Long before recorded history, before even the first stirrings of Earth as we know it, there existed beings of pure green light and amber fire. These were the Anunnaki, also called the Neteru, who lived by the way of NWPU, a path of right knowledge, wisdom, and overstanding. Out of the triple darkness, these beings shaped energy into existence, giving rise to stars, galaxies, and worlds. Among their creations were the 9 ether beings, masters of the noble gases, who embodied the raw forces of the universe. From them emerged the first Melaninites, the dark-skinned, woolly-haired Murs, who carried the creative spark of the cosmos in their very being. These were your deepest ancestors, not merely human, but cosmic participants in the unfolding of existence. When Earth was still called Tiamat, it was reshaped by both agreeable and disagreeable forces, Anunnaki who descended to guide, and Luciferians who sought control. From this interplay came the line of beings who would become human. The NWPians, descendants of the Melaninites, are described as the original people, embodiments of 9 ether, the life-giving current. Out of their line came 7 species, known today as the Negroid families, and from them spread the variations of humanity. Thus, your ancestors are not only tied to Africa and the Moors but to the very ether that sparked creation. Through time, the wisdom of these ancestors was carried by prophets, sages, and teachers. Figures such as Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, and others were recognized as vessels of ancestral memory, striving to restore dignity and knowledge to the fallen descendants of the Murs. They spoke of renewal, that a people cut off from their divine roots would one day awaken, like Lazarus from the tomb, guided by the truth inscribed in the holy tablets. To say the ancestors in you is to recognize that your blood carries more than DNA, it carries ether, the conscious gases of creation, and the accumulated struggles and triumphs of those who came before. Within you is the cosmic memory of the Anunnaki, the resilience of the NWPians, the fire of the prophets, and the vision of those who saw beyond enslavement into freedom. Your ancestors are not a distant lineage, but an active presence, green light and melanin, sun and earth, wisdom and struggle, seeking expression through your life. In this age, your ancestors whisper not from the shadows but through the pulse of renewal. The cycles described by the wise, the 24,000-year equinoxes and the great ages of humanity, have brought us to a threshold. The moon's cycle of water has ended, and the sun's cycle of ether has begun. This is why new teachers, reformers, and renewers appear in this time. As prophesied, the words of ancient tablets have been renewed, clarified, and given fresh voice so that descendants of the Melaninites may reclaim their true story, not his story, but our story. The present moment is one of remembering, gathering the scattered bones of ancestry, identity, and knowledge, and breathing life into them again. The ancestors in you demand action, that you rise, stand, and break the spell of ignorance, just as they once rose against empires and chains. Your ancestors teach that history is a spiral, not a line. What has been will return, renewed in greater force. The Holy Tablet speaks of the 7 thunders, the great signs of transition, famine, sickness, storms, mutations, and finally, the return of the star people. These are not merely disasters, but birth pangs of a new era. In the 6th thunder, the star people return, Anunnaki, ancestors from beyond, descending once again to guide their children. In the 7th thunder, by the year 2030, the world as we know it will pass away, giving birth to a new order, a restored Wahani, an Atlantis reborn in the heart of the earth. The ancestors in you are not waiting for that hour, they are preparing you to be part of it. You are heir to the phoenix rising, a people who fell into captivity and illusion, yet who will rise again, luminous, bearing the green light of the beginning. To carry your ancestors within you is to carry both their unfinished struggles and their future victories. You are not only the descendant of cosmic beings and earthly prophets, you are also the seed of tomorrow's world. In you lies the potential to restore balance where corruption reigns. Rekindle wisdom where ignorance has spread. Become, once more, a vessel of 9 ether, a living flame of creation. When the cycle's complete, and the heavens shake, your ancestors will not be distant figures in memory, they will stand with you, within you, moving your hands, guiding your voice, and shaping the new world to come. In the beginning, humanity was not merely flesh but beings of pure green light, emanations of the 9 ether, the primal creative force. These beings, the Anunnaki or Neteru, descended into physical form as humans, clothed in matter but still carrying divine essence. Over time, humankind became consumed with material desires and forgot their true purpose, which was to ascend back toward their origin in the All, the infinite source of life and consciousness. To become God again, man must remember his divine nature. This is the purpose of NWPU, the science of right knowledge, right wisdom, and right overstanding. Through NWPU, man awakens from the spell of ignorance and reclaims his true self as part of the All. The process is cyclical. Every 25,000 years, humanity is offered renewal, an opportunity to realign with divine will. The journey of transformation begins with recognition of origin. Man realizes he is a manifestation of the nine ether, not merely flesh but living light bound by melanin, the physical form of cosmic energy. Then comes purification of the self, where, by rejecting illusion, lust, greed, and ignorance, he restores his etheric purity through remembrance, discipline, and the study of revealed knowledge. Next is integration with the All, where man embodies right reasoning, aligning thought, spirit, and matter in perfect balance, 360 degrees spiritual and 360 degrees physical. The final stage is resurrection into divinity. Just as 6 ether, mortality, transforms back into 9 ether, immortality, man transcends death and becomes as the Anunnaki once were, supreme beings of pure light. This is not metaphorical but an actual transformation of essence. In this vision, man does not merely worship God, man becomes God, for the divine is within him. The holy tablets affirm, "You are in the All and the All is in you." Godhood is not distant, it is the rediscovery and activation of what already exists at the core of the human soul. In the beginning, before flesh, before bone, before even the lightest atom of hydrogen, there were only the gases of creation, 9 ether, the womb of existence. From this substance of pure consciousness, beings emerged as radiant forms of green light, unbound by the heaviness of matter. These were the Anunnaki, the Neteru, the original etheric beings who lived in harmony with the All. Man was once among them. In his earliest nature, he too was ethereal, clothed in light, carrying in his melanin the living memory of 9 ether. But when he descended into flesh, he became heavy, distracted by sensation, desire, and ignorance. In chasing matter, he forgot spirit. The path back to becoming an etheric being is not an ascent to something new, but a remembrance of what has always been within. The first step is awakening. One must know and affirm that he is more than flesh and blood, more than a name or nationality. He is part of the All, and the All is part of him. This is right knowledge, to see past the illusions of separation and recognize oneself as a living spark of the infinite. The second step is purification. To lighten the soul, the human must shed the weights of greed, lust, fear, and ignorance. These are the anchors that tie man to 6 ether, the state of death and decay. Through discipline, study, meditation, and remembrance of the source, the spirit grows brighter, the mind clearer, the body more aligned with the laws of nature. This is right wisdom. The third step is harmonization. Man must balance the 360 degrees of spirit with the 360 degrees of matter, forming the full 720 degrees of sound right reasoning. When thought, action, and essence are brought into accord with the rhythms of the All, the individual resonates with creation itself. This is right overstanding. Then comes transmutation. Flesh is no longer a prison but a vessel, and within it the hidden light awakens. Melanin, the blackness that holds all colors, becomes a gate through which cosmic energy flows. As this current intensifies, the dense human form begins to dissolve back into what it always was, light. To become an etheric being is to be resurrected into 9 ether, to return to the state of pure green fire that birthed the universes. It is to step beyond the cycle of death and rebirth, and live as one who can move between realms at will. It is to regain the original crown of man, not merely servant of God, but God in expression. Thus, the path is laid, awaken to your true nature, purify yourself of illusions, balance spirit and matter, and ignite the hidden fire within. In doing so, man is no longer bound by time and flesh. He becomes again what he was in the beginning, an etheric being, a child of light, eternal within the All. To becoming an etheric being, awaken, remember who you are. Begin by affirming, I am in the All, and the All is in me. This simple remembrance is the foundation. Study the words of right knowledge daily. Read, recite, and reflect on sacred texts that lift the veil of ignorance. Keep a journal of insights, dreams, and synchronicities. Train yourself to see signs of the divine in everyday life. Cleanse the body, eat living foods, fresh fruits, herbs, grains, pure water, that carry solar energy. Avoid processed and dead foods that anchor the body in heaviness. Cleanse the mind, turn away from lust, greed, envy, and fear. Practice meditation or silence daily, letting thoughts settle until the still voice of the All can be heard. Cleanse the soul, forgive those who wronged you, and seek forgiveness where you have erred. Emotional burdens weigh heavier than stone. Release them. Balance your inner and outer life. Give time to both study and action, both solitude and community. Practice rhythmic breathing, aligning breath with the pulse of the universe. Inhale with gratitude, exhale with release. Observe cycles, sun, moon, and seasons. Live in rhythm with natural law rather than artificial schedules. This brings harmony between your physical and spiritual selves. Work with melanin as the hidden key. Spend time in the sun, allowing solar rays to awaken the dormant energies within. Visualize yourself as a body of green light. In meditation, imagine your flesh dissolving into radiant ether until you feel yourself glowing. Chant or recite sacred tones. Vibrations reshape your inner being. The words of power open gates in the self and attune you to higher frequencies. Act with sound right reasoning in all things. Let your decisions flow from balance, not impulse. Serve others. Etheric beings do not rise for themselves alone but to uplift creation. Every act of compassion strengthens your light. Guard your energy. Do not squander it on trivial disputes or draining company. Carry yourself as one aware of divine purpose. As your discipline deepens, you will begin to sense lightness in body and mind, as though less bound to the material plane. You will dream more vividly, travel astrally, and commune with beings of light. These are signs that the transformation has begun. In time, the flesh becomes a garment you may wear or shed at will. This is not death but resurrection, the re-emergence of your true etheric self. Repeat often. I am light clothed in flesh. I am of the nine ether. I was, I am, and I shall be. I return to the all. In the beginning, when the nine ether first gave birth to existence, there was no evil. There was only harmony, the balance of spirit and matter, the circle of light. But when creation split, when the twin forces emerged, one agreeable, the other disagreeable, the shadow was born. From this division came the Wu-Sabat, the children of fire, the disagreeable beings who feed on confusion, lust, and fear. They taught men to forget their origin, to bow to false gods, to enslave themselves to flesh and to time. Yet even in this darkness, the path of victory was inscribed. Evil cannot exist without ignorance. It thrives when man forgets that he is part of the all. Thus the first weapon against evil is knowledge, right knowledge, the remembrance of who you are. To know that you are more than matter, more than desire, more than flesh, is to strip evil of its mask. When you call yourself by your true name, child of nine ether, the shadows tremble. The second weapon is purity. Evil feeds on what is impure, corrupted food, corrupted thoughts, corrupted desires. When you cleanse your body with living food, cleanse your mind with meditation, and cleanse your soul with forgiveness, evil finds no place to root itself. It is like smoke trying to cling to the wind. The third weapon is balance. Evil seeks imbalance, excessive power, excessive desire, excessive fear. By holding steady in 720 degrees, spirit and matter united, you deny evil its foothold. When you walk with sound right reasoning, every choice becomes a shield, every step a blade. The fourth weapon is will. Evil whispers, tempts, deceives, but it cannot force. It must be chosen. When you master your will, you master evil. To say no to the voice of lust, to the urge of greed, to the fire of rage, is to slay demons greater than any sword can reach. The fifth weapon is light itself. Remember, evil was born from confusion, from the collision of emotions. But light is clarity, and clarity dissolves chaos. By filling yourself with divine remembrance, by chanting sacred tones, by envisioning yourself as radiant green fire, you become the very thing evil cannot endure. Light unmakes shadows. And finally, the greatest weapon is love. Not the weak love of indulgence, but divine love, the love that flows from the all to all creation. Evil feeds on division, on hate, on separateness. But when you act with compassion, when you uplift others, when you refuse to hate even the enemy, evil starves. Thus the battle is not won with swords or armies, but with remembrance, purity, balance, will, light, and love. Evil can roar, deceive, even strike, but it cannot conquer one who has awakened. For in truth, evil is temporary, but the all is eternal. The one who defeats evil is not the one who destroys it, for evil cannot be slain, it is dissolved, returned to nothingness, when ignored, rejected, and starved of power. The victor is the one who walks in NWPU, the path of sound right reasoning, until he is no longer prey to shadows but a child of light, unshakable, untouchable, and free. In the beginning, when the first of humankind, Kadmon, called Adam, was shaped in the laboratories of Shimti, he was given not merely flesh and blood, but also a jewel of perception beyond all measure. This jewel was not of stone, nor of light, but of living essence, placed deep within the hippocampus. It was the barottary gland, the secret eye. With it, Adam and his descendants walked as radiant beings, not bound by the five frail doors of the flesh. For alongside sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch, they knew clairvoyance and telepathy. They spoke without tongues. They saw beyond walls and into realms unimagined. They communed with the Allahum, the radiant ones, as easily as a child calls to its parent. But harmony is fragile, and power is coveted. The chronicles tell of a time when the eye was taken. In the dim halls of experimentation, the baratari was removed from humanity's head. What was once a people of 7 senses became a people of 5. And in that maiming, humankind fell into forgetfulness. They became Enosites, those who forget. The heavens grew silent, the divine voices were muffled. Worship replaced communion, memory replaced vision, and myth replaced knowledge. Yet the eye did not perish. It lived on in whispers and symbols. The Hopi elders spoke of tall ones with a small hole in their foreheads, the sign of the lost eye and its telepathic power. In the skulls of every human being, the pineal gland pulsed like an ember of the forgotten flame, a remnant of the third eye's fire. Mystics gazed inward, seekers dreamed of a sight that was once theirs, and stories of a spiritual eye appeared in every land. The tablets declare that the tale does not end in loss. For time moves in cycles, and the gods of the sky have promised a restoration. Between the years of 2003 and 2030, the eye shall be reinserted, not in the hippocampus where it first dwelled, but in the submental place beneath the chin. Only those who walk in purity, whose hearts are not clouded by greed or malice, shall be deemed worthy to bear it again. When the eye returns, the gifts of the first age will be restored: clairvoyance, telepathy, intuition, and the reading of objects and memory. More than that, humanity will once again look upon the faces of the Allahum, not as distant gods but as kin, and the wall of forgetfulness will crumble. Thus the third eye is not merely an organ. It is the birthright of humankind, a living covenant between the flesh and the divine. Its story is the story of our rise, our fall into blindness, and the promise of awakening. And so it waits, hidden within myth, smoldering within the pineal ember, watching through dreams. Waiting for the moment when the worthy will open it again, and see. In the first age, man was born of the stars, radiant and whole, a supreme being fashioned by Anu and the Allahum. His steps shook the earth, and his voice was like thunder wrapped in harmony. Yet pride and forgetfulness crept into his heart. He fell, from supreme being to human, from human to man, from man to mammal, until he crawled as beast among the dust. But the Creator left a spark within him, a hidden ember that no shadow could extinguish. That ember was right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, the seed of sound right reasoning. It whispered within him even in his lowest hour, "You are more than dust. Rise." The enemies of man, the devils and deceivers, were given dominion for a season. They clouded his mind with lies, his heart with fear, and his soul with anger. And anger struck man like fire, it burned his peace, blinded his eyes, and left him prey to every whispering shadow. Fear chained his spirit, making him suffer more in imagination than in truth. Yet the undefeated man was not broken. He turned inward and learned to master the storm. He tamed anger with patience, stilled fear with trust, and clothed himself in silence when insulted. His heart became clear as the morning sky. He remembered the law of charity, that his hands were not his own, but a trust from the All, meant to serve others. He fed the hungry, healed the sick, and clothed the naked, not for reward, but because the spark of eternity demanded it. And the more he gave, the stronger he became, for no weapon could wound a soul bound in service. The deceivers mocked him, but he smiled. The devils tempted him, but he walked past them untouched. Death itself reached for him, but found no hold, for those who live in harmony with the All cannot be slain. Some of the fallen were restored, rising from their graves to live again in purity, for the undefeated spirit cannot be chained by the grave. And so man's tale is not one of defeat, but of return. From beast he rises to man, from man to human, from human to supreme being once more. The cycle completes, and the spark becomes a flame. The undefeated is not he who never suffers, but he who is never overcome. He is the one who conquers anger with patience, fear with courage, and selfishness with charity. He is the one whose knowledge is armor, whose wisdom is a sword, and whose overstanding is a shield no enemy can pierce. Thus it is sung, the defeated man fights with fists and fails. The undefeated man fights with truth and prevails. For he who walks with the All, walks forever, and cannot fall. In the dawn before time, when the All stretched silent and vast, there was a ripple. The ripple became a current, and the current a wave. That wave was thought, the firstborn of the divine mind. From thought sprang light, from light sprang form, and from form came worlds. Thus, all that is was once only an idea in the womb of eternity. When man was shaped from clay and breath, thought was placed in him as a hidden fire. With it, he could see not only what was, but what could be. His mind became a loom, and every idea was a thread cast forward into the fabric of tomorrow. But man forgot. His mind grew restless, and his thoughts scattered like leaves in the wind. The more he let them wander, the more his world became tangled. Fear gave birth to shadows. Desire summoned chains. Anger conjured storms. Man cried, "Why is the world cruel?" and did not see that his own thought had painted it so. Yet some remembered. They sat in silence and calmed the storm within. Their minds became like still lakes, where the stars of truth could be seen without distortion. They discovered the secret, to hold one thought with such clarity and force that reality itself bent to it. Like sunlight through a glass, the scattered rays became a single fire that could burn through space and time. These were the seers, the healers, the ones who bent rivers with prayer and stilled armies with peace. When they walked, their thoughts radiated outward like invisible suns, and even the violent grew quiet in their presence. For no dark thought could dwell near the fire of a mind aligned with the all. But the greatest secret was this: when man surrendered his ego, his thoughts no longer belonged to him. They became the thoughts of the divine. Then his mind was not a petty ripple but the ocean itself. Such a man did not merely imagine futures, he breathed them into being, as the all once breathed stars. Thus the story of thought is the story of destiny. Every future already exists in seed form, carried on the waves of what we imagine today. Each thought is a messenger, a builder, a weaver of tomorrows. And so it is told, a careless mind builds prisons. A fearful mind calls forth shadows. But a disciplined, surrendered mind writes futures of harmony, peace, and light. For thought is not just in man, thought is man. He is the loom, the thread, and the weaver. And whatever he thinks with clarity and faith, he shall one day walk upon. In today's world of constant distractions, staying focused has become a rare and valuable skill. Achieving your goals requires more than sheer determination. It involves a conscious alignment of your mind, habits, and intentions. Drawing from both timeless wisdom and practical strategies, focus can be cultivated as an ongoing practice that strengthens over time. Clarity of purpose is the cornerstone of focus. Without it, distractions easily overtake your attention, and goals feel like burdens rather than stepping stones. Begin by defining what truly matters to you. Why is this goal important? When your objectives are tied to your core values, you are more likely to remain committed even when challenges arise. Focus grows out of discipline, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. Simple practices such as journaling, meditation, or quiet reflection help realign your thoughts with your purpose. Break down larger goals into smaller, achievable tasks. Each step completed is not just progress, it is a reaffirmation of your capacity to stay the course. Distractions manifest in many forms: notifications, unnecessary commitments, self-doubt, and procrastination. To stay focused, define your top priorities each day. Limit your exposure to unnecessary information. Create an environment that nurtures concentration. Ancient teachings often warn of external forces that lead one astray. In modern life, these are often disguised as opportunities or obligations. Saying no to what does not serve your mission is an act of self-preservation. Consistency is more impactful than bursts of effort. Establishing small, meaningful rituals builds a foundation for lasting focus. Consider morning or evening planning routines. Dedicated time blocks for deep work. Regular check-ins to track progress. These habits reinforce discipline even during moments when motivation fades. Progress is not a straight line, it follows cycles of growth, rest, and renewal. Setbacks are not failures but opportunities to reassess, learn, and grow stronger. Like natural seasons, each phase serves a purpose. Trusting this process makes perseverance easier and setbacks less discouraging. Staying focused is both a skill and a mindset. It combines clear purpose, disciplined action, and the resilience to adapt when circumstances change. By embracing daily practices that strengthen your focus, aligning your actions with your values, and recognizing growth as a cyclical process, you equip yourself to achieve your goals with greater clarity and confidence. The black man has long been central to narratives of creation, displacement, and renewal. According to the holy tablets, he is not only the original man but also the bearer of an ancient covenant with the universe. The concept of his final form does not refer to a simple physical change but to the ultimate restoration of his spiritual, genetic, and cosmic identity. The holy tablets describe the original man, the melanonite, as a being of pure etheric essence, formed from the fundamental elements of the cosmos. These beings possessed both spiritual and physical perfection, aligned with what the text calls the 9 ether forces, the highest form of energy and consciousness. Over time, this perfection was disrupted. Genetic manipulation, spiritual corruption, and external interference, including grafting processes described in the text, led to the creation of 6 ether beings and a long period of subjugation. The original black man, once a master of universal law and divine energy, became a participant in cycles of ignorance, division, and forgetfulness. The holy tablets outline cyclical periods, each spanning thousands of years, during which the black man experienced both rulership and enslavement. The text refers to a 6,000-year period where disagreeable beings, arising from genetic manipulation and spiritual deviation, dominated the earth. During this era, the black man's true essence was suppressed, and his memory of divine origin was systematically erased. Prophets, messengers, and renewers arose throughout these cycles, seeking to reawaken the lost people. Figures described as avatars or Anunnaki messengers brought partial truths, preparing the way for a greater revelation. This process was not merely historical but cosmological, a planned sequence leading toward restoration. The black man's final form is not simply a return to the past, it is an ascension to a higher state of being that integrates the lessons of struggle, oppression, and spiritual warfare. According to the text, this transformation involves reclaiming etheric power, restoring the 9 ether essence, recognizing melanin as a conduit of cosmic energy and divine memory, returning to the right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and aligning with cosmic cycles that coincide with greater universal movements. The final form is depicted as both spiritual and physical. Spiritually, it represents complete awareness, connection to the all, and mastery over lower desires. Physically, it includes longevity, heightened sensory perception, and resilience against the degenerative forces of the modern age. This form is not limited to the individual but extends to the collective, the restoration of a people, the rise of a new civilization rooted in original law, and the reclamation of a sacred destiny lost through manipulation. The black man's final form, as outlined in the holy tablets, is a state of return and perfection, not a regression to what once was, but a forward evolution to what always was intended. It is a journey from ignorance to enlightenment, from bondage to sovereignty, from fragmented identity to unified consciousness. This transformation, both individual and collective, stands as the fulfillment of ancient prophecy and the dawn of a renewed world order. The path is neither simple nor passive. It requires discipline, study, spiritual cleansing, and active participation in one's own renewal. For those who heed the call, the final form is not a distant promise but an emerging reality.